Hello everybody and welcome to a new video. Sorry it's taken me so long to re-upload again. I had some rather distressing news and ended up being out of town for a few weeks. But it unfortunately couldn't be helped, and it was something that I really needed to look into. But anyway, we're back. And today we're going to be looking at a track from a band I'd never heard of before. I actually got... They actually reached out to me to ask me if I'd like to have a look at this track. And the band is called Sacerdotum, probably pronouncing that horribly wrong, and is actually a solo project created by Tarkan Alp, who is the lead singer of the band Cull, who I covered fairly extensively a short while ago. Cull being the band that's made from members of Balsagoth and a couple of other bands. And he contacted me and asked me if I wouldn't mind having a look at this solo project track that he'd been working on. And the track itself is called Don't Drink the Blood. Now, I can't really tell you much else about the band because there isn't really that much information to impart. What I can tell you, though, is on this track, Don't Drink the Blood, Leviathan from Written in Torment played the lead guitars on this track. Tarkan did generously supply me with the lyrics to this track, so without there being much more information I can impart, I shall just jump straight to the track and we'll see what we've got. So, yeah, so we've got Don't Drink the Blood by Sacerdotum, or Sacerdotum, I'm not sure how it's pronounced. Anyway, we'll get to the track, let's have a look. Well, there you go. Don't Drink the Blood by Sacerdotum, or however it's pronounced. Very, very interesting. It seemed a bit all over the place, though, really, did, with all those so many changes in the style, the speed, everything about, the music was pretty much all over the place. And some places it worked really well, some places I don't think it really sort of gelled together quite as well. But still, very, very interesting. And again, uses of multiple vocal styles. There was that sort of more traditional, deep, sort of growled death metal growl. And then there's this sort of very raw, sort of screamed vocal that was used sometimes by itself, and in other times to sort of emphasize the deeper death metal growl. So, everybody knows I do like it when they mix up vocal styles. So very, very well done. Now, I'm not 100% if I can pluck a meaning out of this song. I mean, there's some things that I might be able to pick from it, but I'm not 100% sure. Now, the lyrics, as far as they go, they go throughout the whole song. What am I talking about? As far as the lyrics are concerned, it goes, "Desert prophet, wander aimlessly. I have contained the answer to your dreams. Swathed in raiments torn from the last forgotten sacrifice, I know all for which you seek. Ah, you breathe your curses, you have had enough. These blackened verses spewed from the corrupt." Now, in essence, I get the vague idea that this is possibly talking about the essential lies, rubbish, made up stuff that is spoken from religious communities, like our God is the only one real God compared to the hundreds of other religions, but ours is the only real one, etc. If you don't do this, you go into hell, if you do this, you will be saved. All these are sort of baseless lies that no one can actually prove them. So I suppose they're not essentially lies per se, but they're unproven facts about each religion, and every religion's got their own things of what is the truth, what is lies. That's what it might seem to be, and that could also be what "don't drink the blood" means. It might be saying, don't swallow their lies, possibly. And we'll get to why I think that a little bit later. Anyway, it carries on. Go. You spit your curses, rage to erupt, parade your hearses as the bodies build up. There can be no escape, you can't avoid this fate. No one to take the cup, rise aloft and fill with blood. Then it goes into the, what I can only really call it the chorus, even though I don't really think there's so much of a chorus to this track. It says, "The lamb's throat slit, and it tilts up, and it tilts unto your lips. Flee, fight. Don't drink the blood. Forced, tied. Don't drink the blood. Bound, beaten. Don't drink the blood. Abused, subdued. Now drink the blood." Now, it says the lamb's throat is slit and it tilts unto your lips. That's, the sacrificial lamb, the, drink of this blood, for it is, this, that, the other, blah, blah, etc. Talking about the sacrifice of whatever, and, it will make you pure, etc. Yada, yada, yada. Don't drink the blood, forced, tied, bound, beaten, abused, subdued. That's all. Because, they're saying, don't swallow the lies. Forced, tied, bound, beaten, abused, and subdued. It's kind of like a religion in and of itself, because, there are a lot of religious cults out there who are very, very strict in there. There's religions that you can't leave without being hunted down by those specific groups, etc. I could name a few, but I don't want to annoy anybody who might be actually part of those. And some religions, they really force their opinions onto you to the point where you actually, you feel maybe scared to leave that religion because of the ramifications of what might happen if you do leave. So it's like, don't swallow the lies. You know, you're being lied to. You're being controlled by these people. Maybe, you know, I could be completely off base here, but this is kind of what I'm drawing from it. Anyway, carries on. Bind the lamb, draw the blade, fulfill what the prophets bade, in sanguine lust the flesh consume, birth of lies from rancid womb. Birth of lies from rancid womb. Again, that could be, you know, the birth of religion, God, Jesus, whoever from a rancid womb, you know, from, again, a story full of lies. You know, this whole religion has been born out of maybe like a story that someone's told and someone's written it down, and now everybody, you know, takes it so seriously, perhaps. Deep bite these bitter binds that now tie me down. Horde of fanatical wretches, one more victim found. Mouth forced open, teeth breaking against wooden blocks, unfaltering procession in advance in unison. Sorry. Struggle is pointless, my flesh in rebellion, faltering breath as ragged as the rest of me. Futility abounds, there is now no recourse. Deluged by fetid ichor from abhorrent source. Don't swallow, spit it out. Infection in this fluid abounds. Embrace the seeds of doubt, bound not to lies espoused. Breathed in my curses, upon them drown. These blackened verses shall form my crown. Raise up the dead, I take the heed, the prophet's word have all been said. To the temple door, nail lying tongue, deny detested delusion. And that's it. So again, it's like, there's that verse there, deep bite these bitter binds that now tie me down, horde of fanatical wretches, one more victim found, mouth forced open, teeth breaking against wooden blocks, and faltering procession advanced in unison. You know, this sounds like this person's been captured and is being forced through torture to, you know, follow this doctrine or what have you from this religion. You know, they're going to torture him until he gives in and says, you know, fine, I convert, what have you. It says, struggle is pointless, my flesh in rebellion, faltering breath as ragged as the rest of me. Futility abounds, there is now no recourse, deluged by fetid ichor from abhorrent source. So he's been tortured to the point of utter weakness, that, you know, that there's nothing more he can do. You know, he's either going to die or he's going to turn around and say, do you know what, I will believe, etc. And it then goes into that bit, don't swallow, spit it out, infection in this fluid abounds, embrace the seeds of doubt, bound not to lies espoused. And this is again where I've sort of picked it, you know, don't swallow their lies, you know, because it says don't swallow, spit it out, infection in this fluid abounds. It's like, don't swallow the lies, because as soon as you swallow those lies, as soon as you start believing them, you know, infection in this fluid abounds. It's like, you know, the lies will just spread further. You know, if you buy into it, then more people, maybe who trust you, will start believing what you say about this specific religion. You know, and the infection therefore spreads. He says, "Bound not to lies espoused." You know, so don't give in to these, you know, these false claims, these lies, what have you. You know, that's what it's saying or suggesting to me anyway. So there you go. But like I said, you know, well performed. You know, vocally it was brilliant. There was some really nice, thick, delicious sounding bass guitar going on in there. But I do think some of the music was a little bit on the messy side. You know, there wasn't a perfect flow throughout the whole track. Some of it seemed rather disjointed, but for the most part it was still a pretty decent track, and I would like to hear some more stuff. So, yeah, quite interesting. But I'm not sure what else I can say on that, so I will leave that as it is. Now, if anybody would like to suggest a track for me to react to, then please do so. By all means, you can drop a comment in the comment section below, or message me on my Facebook or my Instagram, or you could even message me through my Patreon, where you could also help to support this channel, which would be of great help to me. There is an option on Patreon where you can get your suggestion jumped to the front of the queue, should you so desire. There are a couple of limitations on that, however, just to be fair to other people who suggest tracks through regular means, e.g. through Facebook, Instagram, or YouTube comments. If you do suggest your track through those regular means, it might take me a while to get through to your suggestions, since I do get suggested so many tracks, and in times I've taken off recently, I've been building up a bigger and bigger list of tracks I haven't managed to get to because I've not been recording. So there's a possibility it might take me a while to get to your suggestion, but I do write down every suggestion I get, so it'll get done eventually. It just might take me a while, I'm afraid. Also, Metalhead Rex is a proud supporter of the Sophie Lancaster Foundation, a British-based charity whose main goal is to put an end to hate crimes, mainly those involving people of the alternative community. And it's something I believe in very, very strongly. It's something I'm very, very passionate about, because it's something I've dealt with myself for many, many years, and so have many of my friends and members of my family. And it's something that gets grossly overlooked, but something that happens consistently. And something needs to be done about it. And this is the fact that people from the alternative community are getting violently attacked just because of the fact that they listen to music from the alternative community, just because they wear clothes associated with the alternative community. And, we're not talking about just little minor things like being shoulder rammed as they walk down the street, or, insults being thrown at them from across the street. We're talking about real violent crimes where people are getting violently attacked, brutally beaten to the point where people are getting hospitalised. People are coming into hospital with broken limbs and sometimes worse. Sometimes there's more life-threatening injuries, at hand. And it never gets spoken about. Nothing is ever said about it, and that is beyond unacceptable. Because the last time this was widely spoken about was 13 years ago, when Sophie Lancaster and her boyfriend Rob Maltby were violently attacked whilst they were walking home minding their own business. They were attacked by a group of 5 or 6 people, and they were brutally attacked, brutally beaten, punched, kicked, stamped on, so violently and so viciously that they both ended up in a coma. Now, Rob Maltby, he did thankfully survive. He was in a coma for around about a week. I can't remember exactly how long, might have been a bit longer. But Sophie Lancaster was in a coma for 13 days before she succumbed to her injuries, and she died. This young woman, she was about 20 at the time, I think she was beaten to death just because she listened to alternative music, just because she was wearing alternative fashion. And this, like I said, this happened 13 years ago, and this was all over the news at the time. But I've heard nothing since. And I know for a fact that there have been dozens, if not hundreds, of further cases of this sort of thing happening. Like, a few years ago, there was a young woman in Scotland, in Glasgow, I think it was, who was running a charity event. And she had to go from the venue to her home very briefly. It wasn't even that far away. It was a 5-10 minute walk away. And in the distance between the venue and her house, she was attacked twice by the same group of people. And she was again violently beaten, punched, kicked, etc. by a group of people. Again, it's always a group of people. And the main reason why she probably wasn't beaten to death was a passing taxi driver managed to stop it from escalating any further. But where was that in the news? Why didn't we hear anything about that? Every single day we hear about these other hate crimes like sexism, racism, homophobia, transphobia, religious hatred, etc. We hear these on a daily basis from every media source. And we hear from the most heinous and violent of these crimes, where someone is murdered for the colour of their skin or their religious beliefs, down to the most petty and pathetic of these things, where some entitled white woman is calling the police on a family of colour because they're having a picnic in a public space. God forbid. We hear these every single day, every facet of these every day. But we don't hear anything about these people that are being targeted and brutalised and beaten to within an inch of their life just because of their taste in music and clothing. And that is unacceptable. That needs to change. And that's what the Sophie Lancaster Foundation is all about. They want to bring more attention to the fact that this is happening. They don't want to see another family go through what they went through when they had to watch their daughter slowly die over the course of 2 weeks. You know, they want to stop what happened to Sophie Lancaster from ever happening again. It's something that never should have happened in the first place. And, you know, like I said, this is something that's getting widely ignored. Nobody ever talks about it, and that needs to change. You know, we can't allow these people to keep getting away with this sort of thing, because by just ignoring it and carrying on, we're essentially giving them a free pass to carry on. We're sort of saying, you know what, it doesn't matter, you just carry on, do whatever you want to do, it's fine. No, it's not, it's unacceptable. We cannot allow that to keep happening. So, if you'd like to find out more about the Sophie Lancaster Foundation, there is a link to their website in the description below. You can go over there, find out what they're working on at the moment, find out what their main goal is, because they can explain it a lot better than I can. And if you can help them out in any small way, obviously don't feel obligated to do so, but if you can help them out in any small way, whether it's a small donation through their website or something as simple as one of these Sophie wristbands from their web store, the smallest amount can make the biggest difference. And the sooner we bring more attention to the fact that this is happening, the sooner we get more people talking about this, the sooner we can help to stamp out prejudice, hatred, and intolerance everywhere. But I'm going to leave that as it is for the time being. Thank you all very, very much for watching, and I'll see you again soon. Bye-bye.